Welcome, everybody, to the Hounds Tales podcast. We're going to finish up part 2 of the Deer Dog stories with me and my good buddy, Mr. Kyle Maschal. We call him Moped, so if you hear me refer to him in the middle of this as Moped, that's obviously that's who we're talking about. But lifelong friend, great hunting guy, great hunting buddy. Love getting together with him and going and turning some deer dogs loose every now and then, and trying to get in front of the old horn toes. But I do want to apologize. I do realize that on his end it is a little hard to hear. That is my mistake. It sounded better in the headset as we were recording, and then if I got here, and obviously that does not sound the same. So I do want to make a formal apology for that. But I believe I moved the mic around a little bit here in the middle of this one somewhere, so it should be a little bit easier to hear, at least for the most part in this one. So y'all bear with it. I promise it's great stories. If you can hear it, if you do get time to listen to it and can hear it, I promise it is worth the listen. So y'all be sure to check the rest of this episode out, and we'll be back to some field trial guests as of next week. And if you missed the Monday highlights, I did make an announcement, that we're going to hold off on the Monday highlights for a little while. They just never could quite gain the traction like I needed to make it worth all the extra time and effort that I needed to do to put in for it. So if there are hunts that people want to have on here, I will be glad to put them on here if you send them to me. But as far as anything else, as far as results and upcoming hunts and stuff like that, we're going to keep it on here. And if there's any news and big announcements that need to be made, I may pop a Monday highlights up every now and then, or something, some kind of bonus episode, or maybe just include it into a Wednesday episode. But other than that, we're just going to stick with the Wednesday episodes for a while. I got some other stuff brewing that hopefully here in the next couple weeks I can make an announcement on, and you'll kind of understand why the time crunch has been a little bit more than normal. So can't thank y'all enough for the support, and instead of holding y'all up, let's get on to the episode. Let's finish this thing up. Thank y'all, guys. Let's go. Welcome, everybody, to the Hounds Tales podcast. This is your home for field trialing and deer dog hunting. It'll be stories and discussions on the world of dog hunting. So let's drop the gate, cast your hounds, and get ready for another episode of the Hounds Tales podcast. If you're listening to this podcast, you probably have a need for dog supply items such as Garmin products, bark collars, remote trainers, name tags, field trial and hunt dog supplies, supplements and first aid, dog fences, used and refurbished collars, and much, much more. Where can you go to get that? Outdoor Dog Supply. Outdoor Dog Supply is a leader when it comes to Garmin Tritronics trade-in program. They were one of the first Garmin dealers to start accepting Garmin buyback trade-ins toward purchases. Outdoor Dog Supply currently accepts both working and some non-working units. Be sure to check in with these guys at Outdoor Dog Supply or at 757-482-1000. And their hours of operation are from Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And if you're in the Chesapeake area in Virginia, be sure to stop in. Go see these guys in person. Outdoor Dog Supply is the leader in online sales as far as Garmin products go, and your hunting dog supply needs. This is where I go to get all my stuff. Might as well join me in it. All right, guys. Again, be sure to check these guys out, OutdoorDogSupply.com, and thank them for coming on board with the Hounds Tales podcast. Let's get back to the episode. That guy that killed that buck when he come down here last 2 years ago, last year. We the whole time, it was until that point, it was kind of a hit or miss day. It was a really hit or miss day. And they killed the buck, so they got excited. They're like, all right, we went over and took pictures with it, with the dogs and that kind of stuff. And I said, well, look, we've already told everybody we're gonna grill hot dogs and have some drinks, drink some beer over at the hunting cabin for a little while. I said, y'all want to come hang out? They're like, yeah, we'll come over and hang out. And then both of them, the two guys that were with me, like, what? I got to get going. We got a long ride back. It's I don't want to be, I don't want to be 8 or 9 o'clock before I get back home. I'd like to get on back to the house. Yeah. I'm like, I understand that. That's fine. Whatever you need to do, Bo. I was like, that's fine. He's like, but I got to get this deer. I said, dude, we got a freezer at the cabin. I said, we'll skin this thing. We'll knock the hide off, or whatever you want to do. We'll hang it up until you're ready to leave, and then you come, do what you got to do. So we got over there, and we started cooking on the grill and cooking hamburgers and hot dogs, drinking beer, and they got to conversating, and the story started rolling.
Oh, yeah.
Then, man, like you talking about, the camaraderie got to hit. It was 9 o'clock, and them boys are still there drinking beer with us. I said, I thought y'all needed to be home by 9 o'clock. He said, man, we having so much fun, I can't go home yet.
Hell, I've stayed over here drinking till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. We got to go hunting the next morning.
Whew, that's tough.
I never will forget. One morning, me and Stump, we stayed over here, drinking all night. Went out the next morning. It was Friday night. Saturday morning, we went out. And turkey season was in, and we were on the first day, and the dogs went to running in there and flushed out a gang of turkeys, and a great big gobble flew up over top of us.
Nice stuff.
Stump shot at it 2 or 3 times while I was flying, didn't hit it, and it flew over my head. I'd set the gun up against the tree and was plugging my ears because my head was ringing so bad. From him shooting, I couldn't even shoot at the bird. My head was ringing so bad. I mean, I probably won't be 15, 16 years old. We had a good time. We used to have wrestling matches around here.
Oh, yeah.
Right there in the yard.
I'll never forget.
Asshole champ at the time I choked him out up there. It was a night to the day, but I got him. I got the best of them at night.
One of the funniest things I ever heard in this hunting cabin. I ain't gonna say no names to protect the innocent. And this is.
I'll figure out.
If any kids are listening, y'all can turn your ears away from this one. Anyway, it was an ex-girlfriend of somebody's that was over here, and an older fellow that really likes the liquor that hunts with us. And he got to John talking, and she was agging it on. I told her, you asking for punishment. I said, he gonna pull something slick on you. He come over to her.
That's probably after the drawdown.
It was after the drawdown. Yep.
I'll hear that now.
Yep. He come over to her. I'll never forget it. He come over there. He picked his shirt up to his neck. He said, I bet mine are pretty than yours.
You wouldn't believe it, but I got a video of that on my phone.
Do you really?
Yeah. Does he still hunt with y'all?
Yeah, he comes.
I've seen him forever.
Yep, he comes every now and then. He hunts more over there with Big Rack and them. He stays on that side.
Yeah, I got a video of him that night. He was tore out the front.
Wow, man, that was fun.
Oh man, I used to love that when we'd auction off that beer afterward.
Woo, buddy.
Golly.
We still do that.
You could get a whole trash bag full of beer for nothing.
Yep. Yep.
Good time.
I'll never forget one morning. It was a group of young boys that hunt with us. Again, I'm not saying no names to protect the innocent. And I'll never forget it. I got rolled this night. I'd heard rumors about that they were going to do it. They were all going to go over to the hunting cabin and have a party the night before first day. I said, well, y'all going for punishment. I ain't doing it. I know better. I said, I'm taking my tail to the house. I went on back to the house, and I woke up the next morning, got up early. I knew I'm the one that makes breakfast over there in the mornings. So I got on up, went on over there, and I get there, and there's a truck in the yard. I said, all right. So somebody got, had to get taken home. And I roll around the front of the truck, and somebody laid out there in front of the truck.
Oh, yeah.
I went over there and kicked him. I said, you good? He goes, hell no.
He was waiting on breakfast. That's what Luther was doing in that picture.
I bet.
Oh, boy.
Oh, man. That's... And it's crazy, it's not only those kind of good times. Everybody enjoys the good drinking times and having fun and all that kind of stuff. But, man, it's nothing like... It ain't nothing like, when me and you were kids and getting to hang out with the grandparents and the parents and that kind of stuff, too.
I learned a whole lot of lessons, too.
Yeah.
Just like you were talking about breaking puppies earlier.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, me and my cousin Travis, we stayed at Papa's house during summer. We lived at Papa's house during summertime.
Yeah.
And then we stayed there because Papa was cool. He was good
Right.
to hang out with. And if he had puppies to break, we'd start walking in the evenings once it cooled off, just about dark. He'd let them puppies at the lot. He'd send me and Travis walking, and we'd walk from there. And he would pick us up over at the Ben Lee Field, which was, I don't know if you know where that is or not, but that's a pretty good hike.
That's a hike.
There. We walked down through, behind Andy Booth's, down through the swamp down there, and walked that creek bottom all the way through there with the puppies. And we'd do that every single evening. We'd walk them puppies, and he'd be sitting over there waiting on us to pick them up. And I remember, I think it was my first group of puppies I had. I mean, we've been walking them all summer, and I started thinking to myself, I was like, man, Papa's always talking about walking these puppies. That's the way to break a dog on the outside. And I was thinking to myself, well, this just ain't working. Them puppies ain't doing nothing. They just running around playing while I'm walking them. And just one day, there was 2 or 3 deer got up in front of us. I mean, jumped up right in front of us and took off running. And the dogs got on them, and that was it right there. From that day, it clicked.
Yep.
And ever since then, I've seen it happen 3 or 4 times. Just the right instant shows they hit a hot track, or deer jumps up in front of them. Or he used to have an old beagle too, Copper, that would jump a deer and run it, and we'd take puppies with him. And that dog broke. I don't know how many hounds that beagle broke, because he was just slow and he wouldn't leave the dogs.
I've heard so many people break their deer hounds with
a lot of people break puppies nowadays, run them on rabbits. You hear that?
I hear a lot of people do that.
I ain't never done it.
I ain't never done it either.
I know a lot of people will take them to rabbit pens or run rabbits on the outside.
I know a lot of people say it works, but man, if I go in the hunting season and I catch my dog running a rabbit, I'm gonna be a mad SOB.
I know I'd be mad if I see my rabbit beagle running a deer.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I don't want it.
You know, I don't want my deer hounds running a rabbit.
I don't see it, but I guess I understand it. That they always say, you know,
I think it's more of a
start them on a rabbit, and they run that track, and then they see a deer, they're automatic.
Well, from what I understand,
you can take any dog out there and it'll run a deer.
Yeah.
I've seen a collie run a deer before, so. But I guess that's just getting them started on something.
That's what I said on this new regulation they trying to pass. I said, yeah, y'all go ahead and pass that. I said when my neighbor's Dotson comes across this yard, you know it won't run no deer.
Yeah. Oh, any house dog will run.
Any house dog will run a deer. I've seen many a house dog run a deer off.
Yep. We used to have a stray pit bull down here.
Yep.
That hell, all hunting season one year, just about every deer you killed, that would be the first dog there. He didn't bark a lick.
Yep.
He didn't bark a single time. But when you killed that deer, that pit bull was going to be the first dog there. He's in front of all the hounds.
Yep.
Running it every step.
I forgot who it was. That's a funny story reminded me. Stacy and her dad used to have a basset hound. And it would run a deer. Yep, that thing would run a deer. But you know, it was just gonna bump it along.
Yeah.
So we were all sitting up there at the crossroads one day, and we heard off in the distance, pow! I said, what in the hell's going on there? We didn't hear nothing. You know, the basset hound got them big old deep ball barks and ain't carrying very far. Next thing you know, here comes a guy out there going woods. I forgot who it was. And had a nice little buck on the back of the truck and the basset hound in the front seat. He said, Butch, is this your basset hound? He said, yeah. He said, he just bumping it along, ran it right out in front of me.
I know a guy that lives over in Gladys that deer hunts dogs, and that's all he has.
Basset hounds?
He's got a whole pack of basset hounds. That's what he runs.
If I was going to beagle hunt, that'd be what I'd get.
I don't think he's really like a hunting club. He's just like, you know, for like 100 acres or so, and hunts little blocks. He got 3 or 4 basset hounds he put in there.
That's awesome.
They bump around. There's a lot of boys out there running bird dogs.
Yeah.
You ever done that before?
Cotton and Reedy Creek's got
really?
some. He's got 2 bird dogs.
The guy I used to hunt with down in Buckingham, he had some bird dogs. And he kind of do more like a man drive than anything.
Yeah.
They walk them, they jump a deer.
Yep.
And they run it for a couple 100 yards. But them bird dogs will bark every
yeah.
They'll run the fire out of a deer for eyesight. But once he gets out of eyesight, they ain't going to do much tracking.
See where they
A lot
hunt.
of boys hunt like that.
Where they hunt over there, where the house place is now,
Yeah.
it's such a small block. Like
Right.
you need them to come back, and that's what he likes about them bird dogs. If I'm not mistaken, I ain't hunted over but a handful of times, but if I'm not mistaken, he'll turn them loose and they'll run it. And if it gets out of a certain range, they quit, give it up, and come on back to them. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to take a second real quick and interrupt the show and talk about Cajun Lights. They have jumped on board to support the Hounds podcast and the field trialing community. You got nighttime field trials coming up. I know I do in my series, Pleasure Running at Night. When you need to catch that next crossing, put your trust in Cajun Lights. Cajun Lights is made in America product out of North Carolina who has been in business for over 25 years. They make cap style and bucket hat headlamps to free up that extra hand for your voice recorder or for your GPS. There are three main lights I want to focus on real quick. The first is the Micro Gator, which is the lightweight option. It has 4 brightness levels and 4 color options, including red for us field trialers. Rated at 50 to 60 hours of battery life on the highest setting, this is your flood style lamp that'll do really good for us out in the fields in the short brush and be able to help us get in front of those crossings. Next up is the Cajun Bayou, which is the next step up, and it includes the same number of colors and brightness levels, but it packs a much bigger punch on that brightness level so you can catch those crossings way down the path when you got a long road to cover. And last but not least is the top level Cajun Blinder. It has a main beam light with 4 levels of brightness and includes a walking light, and even with a light this bright, the burn life on it is rated at 5 to 6 hours on the highest setting. There's no chance of missing a dog with a light like this one, folks. All their lights come with a 2-year warranty and a lifetime labor warranty, and these guys are excited to get into our sport, ladies and gentlemen. So y'all be sure if you see me at a hunt, come ask me about them. I'll have one of each of these lights on hand to show you and let you put it on your head and kind of experience it. Show these guys some love, guys. And y'all please go visit their website at CajunLights.com, and their phone number is 888-773-3080. Thank you, Cajun Lights, for all you do and for trying to get into this sport. Like I said, guys, let's show them some love. Let's get back to the show, guys. Here we go.
Yeah. Papa used to have 2 dogs, Cujo and Rambo. It was 2 black and tans.
Mm-hmm.
And man, they were.
I remember that Cujo dog.
Deer running as dogs, but they ain't bark.
Yeah.
If they weren't sight chasing that deer, they were not gonna bark. And Papa had these big cowbells mounted on their.
That's what I was wondering if that was the
on
ones.
their quick track collars. And he put them cowbells on them collars when he loaded them up to take them hunting. And if you were on a stand somewhere and you might not hear a dog run, but you hear that bell coming through the woods, ting, 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 ting.
Better be ready.
Get the gun ready, because
Yep.
the deer was within eyesight right there, because some dogs were looking at him.
Yep. I've heard so many stories about that. I forgot who it was. I think it was damn Marshall Wade, if I remember right. He got I think y'all had crossed over and come over and were hunting on our side or something like that with them dogs. He come back to the cabin. He just was laughing. I said, everybody said, what are you laughing at? He said, I'm sitting there. He said, I'm listening to the radio, and they said they're coming right to me. You know, they just crossed at this spot.
The bell ring.
He said, the next thing I heard, ding, 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 coming through the woods. He said, I never even pulled the gun up. He said, a beautiful buck just crossed right in front of me. Dog was sitting there looking at it and going across. To
this day, I don't know what the deal was with them 2 dogs. They had a brother, Red. They were all foxhounds, real pretty foxhounds.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 of them were black and tan, white tips, and one of them was a solid red dog. And Red, he would pour them out.
Yeah.
Bark every breath. But them 2 black and tan
Yeah.
ones, they wouldn't. I mean, they would hardly ever bark. And he put them bells on them, but we killed a million deer in front of them bell.
Man, one of the prettiest things about walking with your dogs is listening to the tone difference as they get better and better on the track. Like that Vader dog of mine, man, I love watching him. He's just, and he's real cold notes. When he gets that cold track, it's a boo. It's a real long, drawn out. Then he gets a little bit hotter, and he's kind of boo. Boo, 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 boo. Then when he jumps.
You know when he's coming.
Oh man, when he jumps, it's
almost like a coon dog. Yeah.
Yeah. You know when it's coming. That's for daggone sure. Yeah, you might as well top me off one more.
Oh,
I may have to call out tomorrow and the excuse me. Yeah, I
now,
know.
when did y'all's hunting club start? Do you know?
I want to say,
It's been around?
I think it's 1996, if I remember right. Because I think it was the same year that my brother was born. That seems to ring a bell. For some reason, is when it formed. Y'all's are about the same time, wasn't it? When was
Before that.
before?
Yeah. No.
Way before?
We started leasing the Woods place in 72.
72.
Yeah, because we built, the cabin here was built in 81.
Yeah.
And before that, they used to meet up the road.
Right.
And this was built in 81, because I think the combination was there.
81. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That's when, I think that's when they started leasing that tract of land. Now,
Yeah.
let me get a little closer to the
yeah. There you go.
Now I couldn't imagine it, but it's before our time.
Mm-hmm.
But I hear the guys talk about it that, some of the old heads in the hunting club around here talking about back in the day when, hunting clubs. There were some hunting clubs around, but they weren't really a thing. It was just the same group of guys
Yeah.
hunting together.
Right.
And
Thank you, sir.
that you would buy a West Vaco permit
Yep.
or whatever
Mhm.
it was, and then you could just hunt
Yep.
all of them tracts of
All of them,
land
yep.
across the county or
Yep.
whatever.
Whatever it was. Yep.
So, you could go anywhere you wanted to.
Mhm.
You just turn the dogs loose and followed them, and groups of guys hunted together and hunted together. And
Yep.
then when that kind of dispersed, that's when clubs kind of came about.
Because that's why we had to do. That's why, because I think a lot of our guys between Reedy Creek and County Line all hunted together.
Mm-hmm.
And then it got to the point where you had to make clubs to be able to lease the lands.
And most of them just went to the one that was closer to home.
Right, exactly.
That's how it went.
Yep.
But Cotton, I call him Uncle Cotton.
Mhm.
Or what's been my uncle. He tells me stories about when they used to hunt from here all the way down to Oakville.
Yeah.
And different stuff. And, dogs would, before tracking college, dogs would get out of this track and they'd go over and talk to that group of guys
Yep.
that were hunting over there and say, hey, did you hear any dogs come this way? Yeah, they went on through and went that way.
Yep.
They go on and get on and chase it. Hunting in places they never even
Never even
been.
been, yep.
Didn't know where the road went or anything, and they were in their deer hunting.
Yep. I remember.
It sure has changed.
Yeah. I think me and Dad were talking about it a while back. Our Reedy Creek alone, the land that we had either permissions or access to or whatever has been cut by almost 50% since the beginning of it. Hell, he was talking about back in the day, before, I think this was before even driving on the tracks was illegal. He said, man, we used to go on the 460 right there and by the tracks right there and cut loose at the tracks, the railroad tracks, and turn them back, running back down this way. Now we can't even hunt anywhere close to it.
I couldn't imagine hunting around 460 nowadays.
Mm-mm.
Like the boys down there in
Pamplin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
RCC.
Whew.
Hunt right there, dogs crossing back and forth across 460.
Absolutely not.
I'd have a heart attack.
Yep, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, they do it every day. But you think back into the 60s and 70s, and vehicles weren't driving as fast or weren't as many on the road. It wasn't big of a deal to pull over on the side of 460 and let a dog cross.
Nope.
God knows nowadays you couldn't.
Lord, no.
You can't hardly let them cross a back road.
No, heck no. I remember my kennel partner Daniel and his wife, first time they come out deer hunting, got their own dogs finally, not first time, but the first year they had their own dogs. I'll never forget the first time them dogs started heading towards the highway, getting ready to cross the highway. You talk about some nervous wrecks. I said, they're going to be okay. I said, don't worry, they're going to cross and it's going to be just fine. Don't you worry. They're going to go over to the next block and we'll be able to carry it on.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's the scary thing about what we do, you know?
Oh, yeah. Well, you gotta keep up with your dogs nowadays.
Yeah.
Because crazy people out there, man. There's people that want to see the sport end and they're willing to do anything. And I've had it affect me too. I've had people haul dogs off.
Yeah.
Manipulate tracking collars. Do all sorts of things. And it's yeah, you got to keep an eye on it. It's definitely. I mean,
it's changed.
Just in our lifetime.
Yeah.
I mean, me and you were both young.
Yep.
And I've seen a big change in the last 5 years.
5, 6 years. Yeah, man, it's been nuts.
I mean, just like we were talking earlier, this new house going up right here. I mean, that little field, I've been hunting that my entire life.
Yep.
Now there's a house going up there, so.
Yep, we had a spot just get taken from us last year. We've been able to stop and turn chases and keep them from crossing over, and the guy bought the land and putting the house up right there. He don't want nobody stopping there no more. Hey, that's your property, it's your right, you know?
Right.
We just told him, like, hey, you know, just letting you know, they're probably going to come through your backyard. And he's like, yeah, that's fine. He's like, I may shoot the deer. I was like, well, that's fine. Go ahead, you know. He's like, I just don't want nobody stopping right there. He's like, you know, we don't want nobody in front of the yard. And I said, that's perfectly fine.
I'll tell you what, my yard during hunting season is like a toll booth. So many people pulling in there because all them boys around. A couple different clubs kind of intersect there around my house. And they all know they can pull in the driveway anytime, track dogs.
Right.
See the deer, run to the yard, shoot it.
Yep. Do whatever you got to do.
Don't bother me.
Yep.
But we all get along.
That's right.
That's one good thing about around here.
Yep.
And I think it's an issue in a lot of different places. Hunting clubs having conflict instead of getting along.
Exactly.
I feel like around here we all get along pretty well.
I think there was a time where it got a little tense for a while, but I think it all got fixed and has really worked itself out. And
oh yeah. But I see some boys online that talk about stuff that happens with them and neighboring hunting clubs, and
man,
y'all gotta get something figured out.
Yeah. That ain't gonna fly.
That ain't happening, buddy. Y'all gotta work something out.
Well, I mean, think about it, you know. If the way I look at it is, we got too many people against us right now for us to be fighting internally.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
You know, I understand things happen, and there may be reasons in the past that things had got a little ugly or whatever, but if we got to put those things aside, you know, they got to be put aside, and we got to stick together. We need to go arm in arm in this thing, not begging the other person to hold hands and stuff like that, you know.
That's right.
We got to be locked together and do the best we can.
Yep. I mean, there's hound hunting groups that I've never been bear hunting dogs.
Yep.
Never been in my life, but I would fight tooth and nails for the bear hunters out there.
That's right.
And for what they do, because that's what they enjoy, and that's what they do, and I respect that and understand it. We need it because we got more bears around here than I've ever seen in my life.
Man, they've come out of
I
nowhere.
can't keep my hounds off the bears or something.
Golly.
And but I mean, it's something I've never done, and I don't really. Oh well, I understand it because I'm a hound hunter, but I don't. You know.
I don't have an urge.
Tooth and nails for them.
Yep.
I don't have an urge to kill a bear.
I could care less about killing a bear in my life.
I think it's mostly because I don't got fat and lazy. I don't really want to tug a 300-pound bear back to the truck.
We're going to take a quick second here and interrupt this episode and let you all know about our friends over at Southern Hound Hunting Magazine. Do you enjoy reading stories from houndsmen across the country? Diving into real-life experiences out there in the woods with working hounds of every kind? Deer dogging, bear dogging, hog dogging, small game dogging, you name it, the Southern Hound Hunting Magazine has it. And it's bringing it to you page after page while also spreading a positive image of this beautiful sport that we all love. Be sure to sign up today, and for just $15 a year, you can have quarterly magazines filled with nothing but dog hunting sent right to your door. Check them out today at southernhoundhunting.com and get in the hunt. Let's get back to the episode. That's my thing.
50-pound day.
Yep.
But hey, if that's what you enjoy doing, I'm here to fight for you, buddy.
I'll never forget it. Dad always told me when I was, when I was younger, I used to, man, if I saw it and it was legal, I was going to drop it.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't care where I was. I didn't care if I was 500 yards, 600 yards, a mile into the woods.
You
Didn't
catch me
matter.
on the right down like that now.
Yeah, yeah. Dad told me, my Papa and Dad always told me, they said, there's going to come a time in your life where you get to a point where you sit there and look at your surroundings before you pull that trigger.
Uh-huh.
I'll never forget the first time. It was probably 3 or 4 years ago. I was over in the Woodson place, off on the right side,
Oh, yeah,
down in the
down
bottom,
Bluffs.
down on Wind Bluffs. I done gone gung ho. I knew I needed to get down that bottom, and I walked down in there.
Yep.
Doe day. Here comes this great big old nanny goat. I mean, right by me. I pulled the gun up. And about the time I pull the gun up, my brain starts to click, and I look over, I look at that bluff. I gotta walk back up and carry this big ass doe up the hill.
Sure.
I put the gun back down. I said, absolutely not. You live to fight a little bit longer, girl.
I killed that buck right there
Yeah.
at the end of the hill rig.
Yeah.
Down off of that bluff.
Off that bluff.
I was about halfway down that bluff, and he come running up through the mountain wall, come running right up to me, and I shot him, and he tumbled all the way back down to the bottom of it. And I gutted him down there in the bottom.
Yeah, try to save some weight. Yeah.
And me and the dude that came over, thank God, Justin came over here to help me drag him. But we dragged him 2 or 3 feet, and he just started sliding back down the wet leaves. We ended up having to get a strap and wrap it around a tree up there and pull it up to that tree, wrap around another tree and pull it up. And that's really the only place we hunt that has, we don't have many mountains around here, but you get into a few places around here that you got some steep drop-offs.
Yeah.
That's definitely the hardest drag out I've had. I seriously doubt I will ever shoot another deer down there in
that
life.
bottom, yep.
Unless it's the Harford elk.
That's right.
Unless it's the Harford elk, it ain't happening. And I'm gonna call one of my buddies that James has got a side-by-side or something.
Yeah, we're gonna go get it. We're gonna find out.
Mule, whatever we gotta get. I ain't pulling one back up that hill. Man,
last year, we killed one over there. It wasn't me. It was my dogs was running it. It was a nice buck, and they shot it in the creek bottom in one spot, and it ran down to the flats over there by Chris Booth and them over on that side. Went down to the flats, and we saw it coming through the field, and when we saw it, man, it was hurt. I was like, oh yeah, he gonna go to that creek right there and die. I ain't been in that creek in a while.
That's a big creek.
That's a deep creek.
Oh yeah.
So I get down, we're sitting there watching. They come on across the field. My dog's coming on, that old Bader dog. He just steady pouring the coal. He coming in, just steady on the track. I hear him get down there, bang. I was like, golly, he done gone in that creek and died. Sure enough, got down there, he done ran over the edge and died in the creek. I said, son of a bitch. And I'm talking, I don't know how long it's been since you've been down there.
I've been down there. I know how it is.
So it's above, it's
like
five.
the same size as the Fallen River.
It's 5 feet above my head. I got down there and I saw this deer, and it ain't even my deer. My dogs were just running. I said, golly, I got to get this sucker. We had to take, and we had a chain of people going up. And I'd grab the horns, and I picked it up to my other person, and that person pick it up, and I'd push. We had a chain of people going up the hill to get it up out of that bluff. But golly, man, that was tough.
You know where that bridge comes over the road right there?
Yeah.
The flats.
Mm-hmm.
We had a deer. I don't know if that was this year or last year. MJ's dogs.
Yeah.
I think MJ's dogs and some of mine got in there was running a buck, and he came down that creek, and he went underneath the bridge.
Yeah.
He ran under that bridge. And that's the first one I ever seen do that.
I had one do that to me. They did do that to me at Double Bridges.
Oh really?
Yep. I was standing there.
I've never seen one run under the bridge.
Run under the daggone bridge.
That's a smart deer.
Yep.
Right there.
Yep.
That's the first one I'd seen do that.
Craziest thing I've ever seen, as far as water goes with deer, is this was 3 years ago. We were in Jeff's place. You could see 3 or 4 years ago they had just cut it, and we were running $3, and the $3 you watch them come through the cutover ground to the creek bottom. Got down in that creek bottom, then they disappeared. I said, okay, they were just running the creek bottom, whatever. Dogs got down about where I saw them disappear at. blew right by it, lost it, couldn't figure out. They were all over the place hunting and doing all this kind of stuff. And eventually they went on. I said, well, I got one dog in the truck. I said, I'm going to put it on a leash. I said, I'm going to walk down to where I saw them deer disappear at. When I got down there, I got close. The deep creek, it's really not even that deep of a creek, but I got close enough, I saw horns sticking out above where it was flat above the creek. I said, ain't no damn way that's what they're doing. And about that time, they heard me crunching. I seen one pick his head up and got up and left, and I hooked my dog and let him go. They had done got in the creek and laid down in the creek.
No kidding.
And just let the dogs, but they were neck deep in the creek.
Yeah.
It ain't a very deep creek, but they laid down in it.
Man, them big bucks know.
They were smart. It's crazy.
I tell you what I like seeing. I like seeing them swim across some lakes with the dogs.
Oh man, I got a video of that.
I had one down there at Lee Connors one day. I was parked on a dam. Had the old 270 out there.
Yeah.
Leaning up against the fence posts. Nice buck swimming across the lake. 2 or 3 dogs trailing in behind them. I'm cracking at that buck across there. Water splashing all around him. I shot every rifle bullet I had in that rifle. Come to find out, the scope had been knocked off, bouncing around in the truck, because this was towards the tail end of hunting season.
Right.
This buck gets up out the water on the other side of the lake, stands there, and shakes the water off of him, and trots on up the hill while I'm watching him through the scope. It looked like the D-Day Memorial out there with the water hitting the bullets hitting the water. I'd splash above him, splash below him, splash behind him. I never did hit that deer. That was a nice buck.
There you go. That's the one of mine. It said deer right there and dogs right behind him. I ain't gonna play the volume just so it.
Oh yeah.
But man, they were barking forever, and that was on the big end of San Connors.
It's hard to believe how often they swim that lake.
Oh man. But that was
several times during hunting season they'll do that. You wouldn't think of.
Nope.
Deer would just jump in that
Jump in the lake and go.
But they did.
The funny thing was about that story on that one. The day before that, those dogs, I don't try to toot my own horn, but that was a great group of dogs. Anytime I casted, I could I'd put money on them. Excuse me. Well, the day before that happened, man, they were just awful. Every time you cast them, they run around like a bunch of dummies. I mean, just doing nothing. Wouldn't jump. I turned loose 3 times and never ran the first deer. I was frustrated.
Or what?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Might have been a bad day.
Bad day. Maybe the pressure, air. I don't know. Something was off. Dogs didn't do worth a crap. I was mad. I mean, I was hot.
Right.
I'm like, I'm gonna get rid of every single one of these suckers. If we can't count on them every day, I don't want them. Dad's like, be patient. You need to calm down. He said, they're going to do fine. He said, they've done great for you all these other times. You need to just be patient. I said, all right. Next day I go out. This is the first chase. They go out there and they jump right away. I said, all right, that looks a little bit better.
We got something now.
I said, we got something now. Next thing I know, I look on my GPS and it's the GPS collars are going through the lake. And I hear on the CB, they are barking for every breath, screaming across the lake. And if you listen to it, every breath, boom, boom, boom. There's 4 of them just driving this deer, swimming across the lake. I was like, man, that is awesome. Deer.
What dogs you got left out of that creek?
Vader.
Vader?
That's it. That's it.
What was the other one?
It was Vader, Sith. Sith was a good one. Maul,
yeah.
Wren, and Whiskey. That was the 5. Man, they were a good group of dogs. It's going to be real hard as a group, as a whole, to top that group of dogs.
Oh, yeah.
For me.
If I got something that's like that, I'll always.
I want to take a second and talk about Frontline Optics real quick, guys. They are a sunglasses company that is owned and operated by frontline workers, fires and emergency services, guys. They have designed glasses with us in mind, with the frontline workers in mind, people that are out there using your sunglasses every day and don't want to break the bank and have a pair of sunglasses get broke and just be out of that that crazy amount of money. Guys, these are high quality polarized sunglasses that are durable, affordable, and ultimately represent our lifestyle. In addition to that, a portion of all proceeds from the sale of these glasses is donated to First Responders Children's Foundation. It is in support of those children who have lost a parent in the line of duty. How cool is that, guys? So, guys, check these guys out, frontlineoptics.com. Go to their website, and when you go to checkout, be sure to type in the promo code Hounds Tales. That's TALES. While you check out, and you'll receive 15% off your first purchase. Also, these guys have a first-time replacement, no questions asked program. Be sure to check that out, guys. These guys are awesome. I can't thank them enough for jumping on board. And we'll get back to the show. What was your best childhood dog?
My best childhood dog was probably Papa had a solid white Jip named Dixie, and it was actually Tommy Gowen's dog.
Oh, I heard this. I remember that.
It was I don't even know, it was a stray puppy that showed up at his house or something, and it came over to Papa's house all the time, and he would just take it hunting, and it wasn't even his dog.
Yeah.
And then it would go back to their house. That dog had so much drive that it was in Tommy's shop over there, and there was dogs running in back in there behind Twine. It was running in around a double gate somewhere, and that dog broke out a window in the shop to get out because they had it locked in there for a day or something, because it kept breaking out the kennels. They had it in the shop. It broke a window out the shop to go in there on some dogs. Anyway,
there you go.
Papa he'd run her sometimes he wouldn't. But it'd be the darnest thing. She was more of a yard dog than anything. She'd stay up there in the yard. But we'd be over here hunting behind the hunting cabin somewhere. You know, somebody turning dogs loose, and the next thing you know, you just hear Dixie running somewhere. And I mean, she was just one of them dogs that would just chomp for everyone. She was just a fantastic deer dog.
Right.
Just pretty of a dog. And she would just, you know, got a hunch to go hunting and left the house and come over here and went hunting and run a deer to somebody and they killed them. Then she'd go back to the house. The next day she'd be out there doing. She hardly ever got loaded up in a dog box and went hunting. But every single day that you were out here hunting, she's running a deer somewhere.
No kidding.
Go back at nighttime, come back out the next day and run it. I mean, she was just a yard dog that just got it done every single day. She just had that drive in her.
It's hard to get. When a dog's got it, a dog's got it.
Yep.
You know, I think
it was either her or probably my best dog I ever had was my old big dog. He was just one of them dogs that somebody seen a deer somewhere. He wasn't a fast dog by any means.
It's true.
But he was 1,000% a true track dog. Somebody seen a buck cross somewhere. Someone seen a deer. Someone wounded a deer. I needed to get a chase going. I could count on that I could drive and let that dog out of my box. Whether it be, I could drive him to the middle of town. I could drive him out to Appomattox and drop him in the Walmart parking lot. And I guarantee you, that dog was going to go and jump a deer somewhere, and he was going to
find it.
I mean, that's just what he did.
Yep.
You could take him anywhere, and he'd jump a deer.
I'd say Bobby Labonte dog I was talking about earlier. That was probably growing up. That was probably the best dog we had. Bobby, that was a good dog. That's actually Vader's grandpa. That was the reason I wanted that blood.
Is Bobby Labonte still alive? Real Bobby?
Oh yeah, he's still racing in some races every now and then.
Really?
Yeah, not in NASCAR, but like he'd go like late model racing and stuff like that. But yeah, that dog, man. You could, like you talk about, man, if you put that dog on the block and he didn't bark, there won't nothing in it.
That's right. Yep.
You know?
That's the way it was with that dog. I mean, I felt like I could literally just take him to the middle of the city somewhere and let him out, and he'd run the roads or he'd find some wood somewhere and he'd find a jump.
That's Vader's fetched back to that.
You get a dog like that sometimes. It just has the heart. That's what when you let it out, that's what it's gonna do.
Yep.
So
That's how that Vader dog of mine is now. I think he fetched back to that Bobby dog real hard. I'll never forget it. We were over in Big Hill area, and Vader a couple times before that he would bounce off to the side and start running his own thing, doing that kind of stuff. And he the big pack had gone and they were running, doing their own thing. I think they got on a doe, and that Vader dog had broke off and got on something else, and it was just bumping, just slowly bumping, like that trail bark. Like he got a scent, but he ain't jumped it yet. And I got on the radio, I said, look, that dog's not going to let go of it. I was like, if y'all want to go run something else, y'all go ahead and go run something else. I said, if that dog jumps on something, he said, I'll let y'all know something. Or if y'all want to follow this other pack, we can follow this other pack. Snowman got on the radio. He goes, no. He goes, I know that dog. He said, if y'all want to go ahead, y'all go ahead. He said, but I'm gonna stick on that dog. He's like, I got his code to track him. I can listen to him. He said, I'm gonna follow that dog until he's done. 45 minutes later, Snowman gets on the radio. He said that dog finally jumped. He had cold trailed it for 45 minutes and finally jumped it. And then 10 minutes later, Snowman shot it in front of him.
Really?
Yep.
That's how it goes.
I love a good cold-nosed dog, man.
I'll tell you something I did a couple weeks ago that I hadn't done in a long time, and man, it brought back memories.
Uh-oh.
I know he's not going to listen to this podcast anyway because he don't do any of that. He's an old man. But Mohawk,
yeah,
he went out of town and he had one dog out. We've been out running coyotes the night before, and he didn't catch that dog up yet, and it was still out.
Right.
Well, he still runs them old quick track collars.
Oh, Lord.
And him and his old lady were leaving, going down to Atlanta, going to some Braves games. They were bringing his grandkid down there.
Right.
And he told me, he said, hey, I got one Jip still out. She's got number 6 died on her. He said, keep an eye out for her. He said, I got a quick track collar on her, but he said, I ain't been able to get a beep on her today. He said, she usually comes on back to the house though. And I was taking care of his dogs while he was out of town. He said, when you come by this evening, he said, if you don't mind riding around a little bit, see if you can get a beep on her somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
Old school.
I feel like a kid again. I got the thing and put it back in the truck, went riding around, stopping at stop signs. People was riding by, and I was out trying to get a beep. That was something else. And I ended up finding that dog the next day. And got her on back home. She was fine, and I found her with that collar too. And it's amazing how that old technology like that still tried and true and works with it. And
the Hounds podcast has teamed up with First Form Outdoors to get behind the hunters. Yes, that's right, the hunters. We as houndsmen put so much focus on our dogs that sometimes we forget to focus on our own selves and our health. Whether you're in the woods racing to get in front of that big buck chase or in the wire for 5 hours catching crossings up and down the path, we are constantly draining our bodies all day long. First Form offers energy drinks, hydration products, protein snacks, and other supplements to get us back up and going while we are doing what we love. Show yourself some love and visit firstform.com, and that's the number 1, STPHORM.com to check these guys out. And from here on out, at all hunts, I will have products available for purchase. If you have any requests that you see when you visit firstform.com, feel free to contact me and place an order, and we'll make that happen. Now, back to the episode. I know a lot of guys will double up on them.
Will work better than the new stuff.
Yep.
I mean, as long as the battery life's on them things.
Yep.
Especially if you're running big country like around here where dogs can get stranded in blocks where you just can't get to them.
You can't get allowed to go.
But no, that was funny. That was the first time I'd used one in a long time, and I went by the house, checking around the house with it, and the wife came out. She didn't grow up dog hunting. She's from out of state. She seen me out there waving it around. She come outside and she said, "What the hell are you doing?" I said, "I'm trying to get a track on a dog." She said, "What is that thing in your hand?" And I got to explaining that to her. She didn't understand. And anyway.
That was the first. I didn't buy a tracking system until 2019. And that was it was a quick track.
I had a wildlife.
No, it was a wildlife. I'm sorry, it was a wildlife. It was a wildlife box. Yep.
I had a wildlife box. I had 3 dogs and 1 collar.
Yep.
And I put the 1 collar on the 1 dog that would come back to the dog lights. Yep. And then I got what was the first Astro that came out? I got one of them.
320.
Astro 200.
200. That's right.
The gray box.
Yep.
I had one of them.
220. One at 220 and then 320.
It might have been 220.
I think it was 220 and then 320.
That was a good. That first Armin box was
good.
I bet I ran that thing for 7, 8 years.
Oh God, yeah.
That was good. I tell you what, them old collars like that, the old DC 30s.
DC 30s, yep.
Were tough.
They were
collars
tough,
right
man.
They tracked a long ways. And
The 40s weren't worth a crap, but the 30s and the
yeah.
50s were great.
Yeah, man. Hell, I still got some of the shit. They probably
Do you really?
I
traded all mine in.
They probably still work if I turn them on.
Them 25s are the real deal now, though. I don't know if you've gotten any of those yet.
No, I need to.
There.
I still got all original 15s.
They're
but
sweet.
I need to upgrade.
They're sweet. The cool thing about them is, you know, especially for us, like if you run it at night and stuff like that, and you want to see what dog it is, you need to change
the colors. Yeah.
So if you're running a handful of
Gosh,
dogs,
they're expensive though.
Yeah.
I'd have to take out a second mortgage. No, all my 15s I got now are still working fine. So as long as they're still working fine, I ain't gonna replace them anytime soon. But I just put new long range antennas on all of them. Some of my antennas were beat up.
Yeah.
They're all tracking fine. Now, 2 of my old dogs that before they came out with the shocking collars and all of that, they weren't tone broke or anything. I still run T5s on them. And I'll tell you, I got 2 T5s that I'm running now that are probably 10, 12 years old, that when they first came out with the Alpha, or it might have been the 320 when they came out with the T5s, I bought them because I had the 320. They're probably 10 or 12 years old. But them 2 T5s track better than the TT15s I got.
Oh, shit.
I've never changed the battery in them, never changed the antenna or anything. And I can track them 4 miles from the house right there.
Dang. When you get a good collar, it's hard to let go of one. It's hard to let go of a good collar.
You got all 25s?
No. I still got some 15s.
I need to get them though.
Yeah. They're sweet. They are sweet.
Expensive.
They're expensive. But I ain't had the first lick of trouble out of them. But well, man, I think we're an hour and a half into that, so time rolls by, don't it?
Yeah, it does.
I certainly appreciate you sitting down and doing this with me.
Yep, I enjoyed it, buddy.
Yeah, man.
I enjoyed it.
I'm sure next time we do it, we'll have to get a few more heads in here, and man, the stories will really start rolling.
Get old Luther up here. I'll call him and he'll come down here.
Get Luther and Cotton in here.
He'll tell us some stories. Yeah, Cotton.
Yep, Luther and Cotton.
We'll have to crack a door over there. Cotton smoked 2 packs of cigarettes. He'll run us out of here.
That's all right.
Ventilation going.
That's all right. It's the smells that you'll never forget, though.
Yeah, that's what that deer up there will turn black from all the cigarettes.
I believe it. But all right, well, I appreciate you doing this with me, man. And everybody out there, I hope y'all enjoyed this. It's a little bit different. And thank y'all so much for listening. And like always, guys, happy hunting.